Psst. Hey, having problems with your gas magazines? They're leaking out? What's that? They're hissing? Maybe it's time to actually clean your magazines, and actually we do maintenance on this week's Tech Work Tuesdays, and we find out how to fix these leaks. Let's go ahead and get started. Believe me, I know I have. Yes, it's that time, as of course we're always going to be dealing with, as one thing that we're going to have to deal with at all is gas leaks. I mean, why don't we just replace the magazine? Oh, Mike, why don't we just get different magazines if they keep leaking out? Wrong! We can fix these, as there are typical tools we can use to help fix your gas leak issues and also diagnose what part you're going to need to fix or replace to make them good as brand spanking new. In fact, this is my own personal magazine, and I haven't seen this guy in the high kappas for about 2 years. So let's see if we can fix it and find and solving the issues. But before we get into our actual Tech Work Tuesdays, again, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to basically put out new content and check out what we have coming out for the next upcoming reviews. And again, don't forget to check out our website for airsoftmaster.com if you're looking for products or anything else you need, like such as green gas or even typical silicone oil supplies that you guys are going to need out there. Believe me, as I do every single damn time I need it. But either way, let's go into the proper things that we need into actually figuring out and diagnosing gas leaks. So what do we know about gas leaks in general, or even typical maintenance for your magazines? Well, for starters, you have to look at it in the aspects of, well, what would cause it to leak in either type of areas. Mainly, of course, that you expect for is the gaskets, such as the top gaskets you would have on the top of these magazines. You would also have, surprisingly, a gasket in the bottom of the base of the magazine. And your typical ways of inlet and outlet, such as your fill valve as your inlet to fill the green gas, and your outlet, which is your output valve in the back end of it, your knocker valve you'll be called, to help basically pressure out the gas whenever it gets hit with a firing pin. So let's go ahead and check and see what we can do for diagnostics and seeing what we can help prevent any issues or either fixing the issue. So let's start off with something simple and easy and very popular to have an issue in regards of gas blowback pistols is your gas magazine. So, as we said before, we've seen in regards of listening to proper maintenance, you're gonna have is your top gasket, and you'll also have the bottom gasket underneath is the base plate, as well to that your fill valve. And then your back and the output valve would be is your knocker valve. So first step that we're going to do to find out to diagnose or do proper maintenance on these magazines is to find out where it's hissing. So best way to do that, fill it up with some gas. So the hissing is normal for Toki Marui, but sometimes with WeTech you won't hear anything at all. All right, now it's full. And as you can see, we have a fill valve leak in the bottom. As it's coming out, you can hear that too. So, is it leaking from the top though, or anything else? No, okay, it just looks like we see here, it's on the bottom. What can cause that? Well, two things. Either, again, a dry O-ring, which we want more sealant to help prevent gas leaking out, and sometimes just vibration, it just knocks itself out. So, I'm gonna take a tool, push the actual spring in the bottom for the base plate to pull out. And then you're gonna notice two things is, you're gonna see a screw, which is a Phillips crosshead underneath the bottom of the magazine. That would be partially where you would have your bottom gasket as well. But since it's the fill valve, all we have to do is just use one of these guys. This is your fill valve tool key, a very important thing to have. Now, these can get expensive to be around $20 to $30, but hey, think about it this way. A $30 investment to help out to keep you maintain your lifelong magazine. So it stops preventing you from spending $35. So might as well just keep your magazines. Either way, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use that tool to tighten it up. But before we do that, let's go ahead and put some silicone oil inside where the fill valve would be. Help lubricate it to help reseal the O-ring and help keep everything nice and moist. Sorry, children. Now we're going to take the valve key and we're going to go ahead and actually tighten everything up. So this one is very, very loose. So we're just going to retighten this up a little bit. And then see how that works now. So let's put back the base plate. Push back the follower. All right, now let's see if we can basically have any gas issues. All right, it's full. Let's listen carefully. Now it's not as much, but it's leaking out. So we're going to tighten it a little bit more. And then basically what we're going to notice is that once we tighten it a little bit more and re-lubed it, no leaks. So congratulations, you fixed your first magazine with no problem, and it saves you from buying another mag. So you can give yourself a round of applause on that. But stop there. We still got a couple places that we might as well check out just in case if there might be other issues when it comes to leaking. For example, what if it's coming out from the top of the knocker? Well, surprisingly enough, the same thing can be applied with the same thing as you've done for the fill valve. Again, re-lube and retighten using your valve key tool. For example, just to play it safe, I'm just gonna retighten this bad boy a little bit more to make sure everything's good. All right, and then what I like to do is usually what I'll do is I'll help put some silicone oil inside the top of the gasket to keep it nice again and moist to make sure everything is sealed up nice and tight. But either way, this works on that. Now, what if it's not coming out from the top of the knocker valve or inside your fill valve, or for some reason it's not gonna be on the top where the gasket would be? Well, surprisingly enough, there's one more thing you can check, which is the bottom of the gasket inside your base plate. So, for example, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this Phillips screwdriver, we're gonna unscrew it, and this will basically pull out your whole bottom of your magazine. Now, as you can see, when we put down the actual base pad, we have is a gasket all the way around. Now, that O-ring needs to be also nice and lubed up because the fact that that's also your bottom sealant as well to hold in the gas. So how do we fix that? Again, you can either spray it with silicone lube or use the 4-quad grease pen to help lubricate the sealant all the way around to help give it that nice proper type of sealant that we need to help all the green gas. Once we do that, put everything back. And then retighten the screw. All right, so now that we put the base pad all the way together, let's go ahead and fill up the gas one more time. So listen carefully. Nothing. So that would basically fix your pistol magazine. Now, again, the good news is when you checking for all this stuff, you're able to actually find out whether or not if you have any issues with leaking from the fill valve or possibly on the knocker valve or even just the bottom of the base plate of the magazine. Once you check that out, it should help out and also improve not only keeping the gas inside the mag, but also most likely fixing your gas efficiency issues. Another key point I wanted to actually inform you guys is always lubricate your gaskets. Also, if you can, either improve it with either a Laylax type of gaskets on the top seal, or if you can't, just always try to relube these as these are your main component that actually help seal on the top of your loading nozzle. Now, when it comes to learning the basics of a pistol magazine, well, surprisingly enough, you just learned the same thing as applied to your gas blowback rifle magazines. Again, you want to check for any type of leaks from either the fill valve, which is your inlet, your intake, and at the same time seeing if maybe your knocker valve is leaking out from there, or just anything in general from the top or bottom gaskets, as those would be the most typical suspects in regards of gas leak issues. The good news is the same thing can be applied to help fixing it by using either lubrication to help reseal it, or sometimes if it's just torn in between the O-rings, again, you can always replace those with other seals. But again, if you have any issues with your gas blowbacks, like either your pistols or your rifles, any type of seal issues, again, don't be afraid to email us at info@airsoftmaster.com or just comment down below for YouTube. But as for this tech work on Tuesdays, my name's Mike. I'll see you guys next time.
This video is brought to you by Airsoft Master.